If this is your first time, welcome in. And if you've been here before, I'm so glad to have you home. I'm already picking up something heavy in the energy today. And I have to say this, someone is panicking. I mean, really spiraling. Because the lies they spread about you, they're starting to fall apart. This is someone who has been talking about you behind your back for a while now, spreading stories that were twisted, exaggerated, or just flat out false. It was never about truth. It was about control, about image, about making themselves look good by making you look bad. And it's so wild because this person was actually enjoying it. They liked the drama, they liked the attention, they were using your name to get reactions, to gather people around them, to build some fake sense of popularity or power. They were chasing ego, and for a moment, they thought they were winning, but not anymore, because now everything is unraveling. People are noticing the inconsistencies. They're remembering what this person said before, and now it doesn't match. Their stories aren't lining up, and as they try to keep up the act, it's all just getting messier. Their lies are starting to collide with each other. Their ego is clouding their judgment so much that they can't even keep track of their own stories anymore. They tried to dim your light, tried to create chaos in your life, tried to damage your name just so they could feel big. But Spirit never lets energy like that go unchecked, and now it's boomeranging. What's powerful here is that this isn't just some quiet exposure behind closed doors. This is public. People are talking, people are watching, and people are finally seeing. There's this growing wave of support rising around you. People are coming forward to defend you, to speak truth, to call out the injustice. And the person who once had all eyes on them, they're being seen in a very different way now. Not as a leader, not as someone admired, but as someone untrustworthy, manipulative, small. This is the kind of energy that looks like public humiliation, a dethroning, because they place themselves on a pedestal by stepping on your shoulders. And now, that pedestal is gone. People are seeing their actions for what they really were. They're feeling that gut-level disgust, that moment where you realize someone wasn't just messy, they were cruel. This wasn't just gossip, this was betrayal. But you, Divine Feminine, you didn't need to retaliate. You didn't need to fight back. Your truth is doing the work for you, and now that truth is echoing louder than any lie ever could. The first card I just pulled is the Devil. And the second this card landed, I felt it. The weight of deception, of obsession, of someone tangled in their own need to control how you're seen. This isn't just a small case of gossip or whispers behind your back. No, this is bigger. This is someone going out of their way to twist your truth, to poison people's perception of you, to bend reality into something dark and distorted, all because your light made them feel small. And instead of owning their own pain and doing the work, they chose the cheap road. Lies, manipulation, projection. What's coming through is intense. I feel this person, or maybe even a group of people, started spinning stories about your love life, about a connection that meant something sacred to you, or maybe had nothing to do with you at all, but they wanted to throw your name in anyway. They may have implied or outright said that you were unfaithful, that you crossed lines, that you were chasing attention or validation. They did this to stir the pot. to get a reaction. And some people listened at first, not because they believed it, but because drama always travels faster than truth. But here's what they didn't expect: the tables to turn this quickly. Because while they were throwing dirt on your name, there was another group watching in silence. People who actually see you. People who know your heart, your energy, your truth. And they started speaking up. They started connecting the dots. They realized the one doing all the talking was revealing more about themselves than they ever could about you. And now that crowd is growing, and the toxic person behind the lies is getting called out. This individual may have masked it well at first. They wore the victim face. They acted like they were just sharing their experience or expressing concern. But it wasn't that. This was an intentional smear. It was meant to break you down, to turn people against you, and to make them look powerful in comparison. I keep seeing them telling stories about your personal life, your love life, your choices, and underneath it all, what they were really saying was, I wish I had what you have. Because that's the part they couldn't hide, even with all the lies. Their envy leaked through every word. What's so ironic is how they tried to label you as someone who seeks attention, who uses people for pleasure, who can't be trusted with love, and yet those accusations are the exact mirror of who they are. They couldn't stand that you were seen, that you were loved, that your presence was magnetic. So they projected their shadow onto you and hoped no one would notice. But they were wrong. Spirit saw everything, and now so are the people around them. I see them scrambling now, panicking, trying to shift their story again, trying to say it was all a misunderstanding or that they didn't mean it like that. They're trying to make themselves the victim again, but it's too late. The cracks are showing. People are laughing, not because it's funny, but because it's ridiculous. Their stories are falling apart. The holes are too big. And the harder they try to spin the web, the more tangled they become in their own words. For some of you, this wasn't just one person. It was a full triangulation. One narcissist, one flying monkey, one enabler. Maybe someone who barely knows you but decided you were a threat, simply because others loved you naturally. That's what triggered them. That people liked you effortlessly. That your light drew others in without force. And instead of facing their own lack of self-worth, they decided to tear you down in hopes it would fill that hole. But that never works. Because love that comes from lies is hollow. And popularity that's built on cruelty always collapses. I'm seeing that this person even tried to pretend they were more successful than they really are, claiming they've done more, seen more, lived more, maybe even pretending they've traveled the world or achieved something big just to compete with you. But it was fake, all of it, a performance. And now the mask is slipping. What they accused you of was really a confession of their own self-hate. The way they tried to make you look evil, that was their own reflection. And what's beautiful is that you didn't need to fight back. You didn't need to clap back or defend every lie. You just kept being you, quietly, powerfully, consistently. And now the truth is rising. Their crowd is shrinking. Yours is growing. Because the more people watch, the more they realize who was real and who was performing. This is what happens when you stay in your light, The shadows try to shake you, but they can never dim you. So let them unravel. Let them panic. Let their stories collapse under their own weight. Because Spirit already cleared your name. And the people who matter, they're watching you shine brighter than ever. The next card I just pulled is the World. And immediately, Spirit whispered, "This is the end of their game. What you've been dealing with, it's coming full circle. This is the final act. Someone who thought they could get away with dragging your name through the mud is now watching their entire story fall apart, and there's no place left to hide. They got bold, they got arrogant, they believed their lies were untouchable, that they could keep spinning the narrative and people would just keep believing it. But Spirit has flipped the script, and now it's not you who's in the spotlight for the wrong reasons, it's them. This person got too big for their own ego. They started to believe their own falsehoods. They were riding the high of the attention they were getting while slandering you, telling stories, making up twisted versions of who you are, and watching people react as if it were all true. It fed them. It made them feel important. But they pushed it too far. They overstepped. And now, the very lies they used to elevate themselves, they're crashing down around them. And what's so interesting is that while their fake stories are unraveling, this person is quietly falling into a state of soul crisis. I see them searching, like internally grasping for something real, some sense of direction or purpose, but going about it in all the wrong ways. They've been watching you live in alignment, walking your path with clarity and purpose. And instead of being inspired by it, they let envy take over. They wanted to destroy what they couldn't understand. They thought if they stomped hard enough on your light, maybe theirs would start to glow. But instead, all that toxic energy they threw at you is boomeranging right back to them, and it's loud, public, embarrassing. And here's the thing, while they were spiraling in their drama, you stayed solid. You didn't flinch, you didn't break, you didn't even respond to the noise. And because of that, people are watching you with a new kind of respect. They're starting to really see who you are, not just what you say, but how you carry yourself. While they were trying to paint you as unstable, fake, cruel, people started noticing that you don't match the story at all. Your energy speaks differently. You're calm, grounded, kind, honest. And that quiet strength, that's what's exposing the lies more than anything. Spirit is showing me strength now, not as a card we pull, but as a frequency you're embodying. You've become the one who's shutting the mouths of these metaphorical crocodiles. Their crocodile tears aren't working anymore. They tried to play the victim. They tried to make you look like a villain. But now people are stepping up and saying, "Hold on, what you just said doesn't make sense." Or, "That's not what happened." I see people defending you, correcting the record, and flat out calling out the contradictions in this person's stories. This isn't just a messy moment. This is exposure, deep exposure. And for the person behind the chaos, it's humiliating. Because they've done this before. They've spent their life twisting facts, turning people against each other, feeding off gossip and drama. But this time, the truth is shining too brightly. People are seeing through their patterns. They're being viewed as a compulsive liar, as someone who is deeply insecure and thrives on tearing others down to feel relevant. Meanwhile, you're over here rising, quietly, powerfully. You've become untouchable, not because you're hiding, but because you're standing in your truth. You're not crumbling, you're not feeding the fire. And people respect that. Your light is steady, your soul is anchored. And every time this person tries to throw another stone, Spirit catches it before it even touches you and hurls it right back into their lap. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove a thing. Just by existing in your truth, you're exposing them. And then the Five of Swords energy starts to creep in, because that's what they've been trying to pull you into. Conflict. A competition you never even signed up for. This was someone who decided, all on their own, that they needed to outshine you, that they needed to win something you weren't even playing for. They created an entire battle in their mind. They've been swinging swords at a ghost, chasing shadows, comparing themselves to someone who's just been minding their business. And now that it's backfiring, they look foolish. You, on the other hand, are surrounded by people who get it, people with discernment, people with integrity. And those people are watching this play out with a knowing look, because they see the vibrational mismatch. They can tell who's being real and who's faking it. And even the ones who stayed quiet at first, they're shifting. They're coming around. They're not clapping for this toxic person anymore. They're not laughing at the gossip. They're tired of the games. Because here's the truth. People are drawn to light, and you are light. You've shown that through your silence, your steadiness, your refusal to sink to their level. And now Spirit is making sure the world sees you clearly. Not just as the one who survived this, but as the one who outgrew it. Moving on, I just pulled the Five of Wands. And honestly, that couldn't be more perfect for what's playing out right now. This is the card of drama for the sake of drama. Chaos without substance. Arguments just to feel powerful. And what I'm picking up is exactly that. A group of low vibrational people trying to stir something up around you simply because your light makes them uncomfortable. This group, or maybe even just one main instigator with a few followers behind them, has been projecting their darkest traits onto you. They're throwing words at you like knives, trying to paint a picture of you that only exists in their own wounded imagination. And here's the wild part. What they're accusing you of, it's everything they would do. Every insult, every lie, every scenario they claim you're involved in is just a reflection of what they know they're capable of. They've been watching you closely, not because they care, but because they're obsessed with finding a way to tear you down. This person will sell themselves out for attention. They'll bend over backward just to be liked by the wrong crowd. Whether it's romantic attention, sexual validation, or fake popularity, they chase anything that gives them a momentary ego boost. And they tried to drag you into that game, tried to make you look like you were part of their circus. But you weren't even playing. You were just living your life, moving with purpose, staying in your lane, and that's exactly what threatened them. Now, Spirit is showing me defeat, not for you, but for them. Their misfortune is settling in. Their words are being weighed, and they're not making sense. The people who once listened are starting to ask questions. They're noticing the holes in the story. They're comparing it to what you have said, what you haven't said, actually. Because your truth, it holds. It's calm. It doesn't need to perform. and that contrast is loud. You might feel spirit pushing you into a moment where you have to speak up, where you finally tell your version of events. And when you do, it lands, it resonates, it's clean. Your words don't need to twist or stretch, they just make sense. And suddenly, the crowd starts seeing the difference. This toxic person tried to come at you with swords, but the fire's dying out. They burned up all their fuel, and now they're standing there, alone, looking around for applause that's no longer coming. Spirit is saying loud and clear, rejection is coming for them. The same rejection they tried to send your way, it's circling back. Because those friends they surrounded themselves with, they were never real, just other empty people looking for the next drama fix. And once this spectacle gets boring, they'll move on. They always do. That's the thing about low vibrational connections. They're shallow. They don't last. But while they fall apart, something sacred is rising on your side. There's a different kind of crowd watching you. A group of people who genuinely see your heart, who know what integrity looks like. They're talking about the situation now too, but it's a different tone. It's not gossip. It's righteous anger. It's truth being spoken. It's people saying, this isn't right. They didn't deserve this. Something needs to be done. And those words, they're forming protection around you like a shield. This isn't about getting down in the mud and battling it out. That's what they want. They want to see you flinch. They want you to react, to explode, to match their chaos so they can say, see, I told you they were unstable. But you're not giving them that satisfaction. And because you've stayed in your light, Spirit is multiplying that light around you. You're being surrounded by people who love you, who support you, who are helping hold you up while the false energies collapse on themselves. This truly is a spiritual battle, but not the kind where you swing swords. This is about standing in truth while the lies burn out on their own. The people who were cheering for the toxic person are now disgusted. They're watching someone unravel in public, seeing the ugliness that was hiding behind the charm. Their charisma has worn off. Their stories don't hold weight anymore. It's all catching up. And the most powerful part of this, you're still standing, stronger than ever. You haven't crumbled. Your balance is exposing their instability. Your kindness is exposing their cruelty. Your clarity is exposing their confusion. They came to defeat you, but all they've done is defeat themselves. And now that your light is shining even brighter, their shadows can't hide. The divine has seen every part of this. Nothing was missed. Nothing will go unaccounted for. So keep walking, divine feminine. You're not losing anything. You're being lifted out of the mud and into higher ground. And Spirit is handling the rest. Now we have the Tower card, and Spirit's making this message crystal clear. This is their Tower moment, not yours. Everything they tried to bring into your life, the chaos, the embarrassment, the betrayal, the loss, is now collapsing around them. And it's not quiet, it's not subtle. This is a public unraveling, a full-blown exposure. They built their power on lies, on drama, on manipulating how people saw you. And now, every brick in that illusion is crumbling. You, on the other hand, are standing in something completely different. While they're falling apart, you're being lifted up. There's a wave of appreciation rising around you. People who truly see you, who genuinely value who you are, and who are stepping forward to say, no, that's not what happened. That's not who they are. Whether it's friends, soul family, or people you haven't even met yet, support is showing up. And what's so wild is that it's the exact opposite of what this person wanted. They wanted you isolated. They wanted everyone to look at you with disgust. They wanted to destroy your name, your connections, your sense of safety. But instead, you're being surrounded by love. This is restoration. True appreciation is coming in, and with it, joy, abundance, alignment. You're being brought back into harmony, not just with the people around you, but with yourself, because you never betrayed your own spirit in all of this. You didn't stoop to their level. You didn't retaliate with the same cruelty. You stood in your truth. You moved with dignity. You showed strength by not reacting, and Spirit has been watching. The divine has taken note of how you handled this storm, and now the reward is pouring in. What they tried to burn down is being rebuilt around you with even more beauty, more blessings, more depth than before. You're attracting the kind of people who don't need a story to love you. They feel your energy, they see your light, and they're choosing you, not because of pity, not because of drama, but because of who you are. And that's what this toxic person can't understand. You earned this, you became this, you didn't fake it, you didn't chase it, and so they can't replicate it. Spirit is showing me that this person has been watching all of this happen, and it's eating them alive. They can't stand that you're still standing, still glowing, still rising. And what's even more painful for them is that now they're the one being questioned. They're the one being side-eyed. Their web of lies is falling apart, and the spotlight they wanted so badly, it's burning them now. They're becoming a spectacle, the same way they tried to make you one. But here's the most powerful part. You didn't need revenge. You didn't need to win. You've already won, because they pushed you into a corner thinking they could break you, and instead, you discovered a deeper version of yourself, a more powerful, more grounded, more spiritually aligned version of you rose out of this. They wanted you to crack, but you transformed. You went inward. You entered the fire and came out a phoenix. I keep hearing, "You got this. I'm coming back. This is you. This is your return." Maybe they overwhelmed you at one point. Maybe their energy was so relentless that it felt like you couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't find your footing. And if that's true, that's okay. That's part of the transformation. You didn't disappear. You evolved. You moved into hermit mode, not to hide, but to heal. You connected with the divine. You remembered who you are. And now, you're rising again. But this time, you're untouchable. And Spirit is saying, be bold, be daring, be seen. Don't let the memory of their chaos make you shrink now. This is your moment. The universe is not just cleaning up the mess, they're setting a table for your return. You've earned every piece of what's coming. The support, the love, the deep soul connections, and the truth. It's doing all the work for you. So let the tower fall. Let the false friendships collapse. Let the gossip burn itself out. Because while they deal with the fire they created, you're walking out of the ashes reborn. Next, I just pulled the Judgment card. And there's no mistaking what Spirit is saying right now. This is your rising moment. This is divine judgment falling exactly where it's meant to. The lies, exposed. The masks, ripped off. And those who tried to destroy you, they're facing the mirror now. This is karmic reckoning in its clearest form. And while they squirm under the light of truth, you're being called higher, rising into a version of yourself that was forged through fire, not broken by it. This person, this snake in the grass, they underestimated the light you carry. They thought they could slither into your life quietly, play friend, play lover, play loyal, and then turn that closeness into leverage. But they didn't realize you were a truth bringer, a light worker, a soul who didn't come here to blend in. You came here to disrupt darkness, to burn away illusion. And that aura of yours, it's not just beautiful, it's blinding to those who are hiding. That's why they fear you now. That's why they can't come back. Because the second they get near you again, your light will reveal everything they tried to cover up. And for some of you, this got deeper. This wasn't just personal. There may have been legal steps involved, documents, testimonies, evidence, people in authority witnessing the truth and confirming what your soul already knew. And once truth is in the open, there's no undoing it. They know it's over. They know the story can't be spun anymore. They know they've been found out, not just spiritually, but in the real world. People talk, people remember, and now people know. You didn't go looking for a fight. You didn't invite this war into your life. You were minding your own business, staying in your own lane, doing your own healing, and they came for you. They wanted to destroy something they didn't understand. Your confidence, your softness, your purpose, your love. It all made them feel small, and instead of healing their own pain, they tried to project it onto you. They tried to make you feel like the problem, but Spirit flipped it. The very spotlight they used to shame you, it's now exposing them, and not gently. Because this wasn't just betrayal, this was spiritual warfare. And you didn't just survive it, you transmuted it. You took every shadow they threw and alchemized it into more light. You didn't just come out whole, you came out wiser, clearer, bolder. They backed you into a corner, hoping it would break you, but all it did was activate your metamorphosis. You've become the dragon slayer, the fear breaker, the empowered empath who knows that your worth has never been tied to what other people say. Let's talk about that. Because for so long, maybe in childhood or past cycles, you've been the scapegoat, the one others dumped their shadows onto, the one who took on guilt that didn't belong to you. This toxic person tried to play that same game. They tried to hijack your light and wear it like their own, while making you carry the weight of their darkness. But this time, the pattern broke. This time, you remembered who you are. You spoke up, you stood tall, and everything shifted. They mocked your tears. They tried to create moments where you would crumble just so they could laugh. They wanted to see you at your lowest. They fed off the idea of your isolation. They imagined you panicked, alone, desperate, and it gave them a sick thrill. But now, the tears are theirs. And not because they're sorry for what they did. No, they're sorry they got caught. Sorry they're exposed. Sorry the game is over. But Spirit isn't sorry. Spirit planned this. This entire situation was a divine test, one your soul agreed to before birth, not as punishment, but as preparation. This was the pressure that would turn you into a diamond. This was the darkness that would prove your light. You passed it. You passed it beautifully. And because of that, everything is about to change. You're being lifted, witnessed, celebrated. The divine has watched every moment, And now it's your turn to feel the reward. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to clean up their mess. All you need to do is keep walking in the truth. Keep standing in your light, because your light is not just healing you, it's changing the world. You are not the same person who entered this storm. You're brighter, stronger, untouchable, and Spirit is showing you just how powerful you've always been. Look what we have here. I just pulled the star. And that's exactly what you are right now. A guiding light in a world that tried to dim you. You've walked through fire, through betrayal, through projections so dark they could have swallowed you whole. But instead of breaking, you glowed. You glowed in the dark. And now, Spirit is showing the world the truth. Not just about what they did, but about who you are. For so long, you may have struggled to say no. You may have been the one who always gave, always poured, always made room for others, even when it hurt you. Maybe you were taught that love meant sacrifice, that boundaries made you selfish, that speaking up was wrong. But this was the breaking point that became your breakthrough. Because now you know. You know with full certainty that saying no doesn't make you mean. It makes you whole. It keeps you safe. And you're not afraid to protect your peace anymore. These people came into your life not because you were weak, but because you're powerful. Because you carry a softness they couldn't understand. And instead of admiring it, they tried to twist it. They called your boundaries selfish. They mocked your kindness. They hated how naturally people gravitated toward you because they couldn't fake what you are. Your energy heals people, and that made them feel exposed. So they tried to flip the story and make you look like the problem. And yet, here you are, stronger, wiser, brighter. You're walking in your divine timeline now. You've stepped into the highest version of yourself, surrounded by soul family, by high vibrational people who truly see you. And for some of you, a divine counterpart is part of that rise. Someone who reflects your light back to you, who affirms what you've always known deep down, that you are powerful, you are radiant, and you are worthy of the kind of love that doesn't play games or seek to tear you down. Behind the scenes, that toxic person is hiding. They're ashamed. They feel exposed, and they should. They tried so hard to bury their insecurity under a performance, but their envy couldn't be contained. It leaked out. It showed in everything they did. And while they tried to make you look desperate for attention, they revealed their own desperation. They're hiding now because their soul knows what they did. They don't regret hurting you. They regret that they couldn't hide it. But Spirit saw it all, and so did the people they tried to manipulate. You've become a mirror, not just for the dark, but for the divine, and it's making waves. They wanted you to look broken. They wanted you to crumble. But instead, you're stepping into your divine energy. You are wisdom. You are life force. You are sensuality, depth, beauty, and strength all wrapped into one. You don't need to perform. You just are. And that alone is magnetic. That alone is why your soul tribe is finding you, because you're no longer dimming your light to make others comfortable. You're owning who you are completely. They tried to turn your feminine energy into something shameful. They projected their own shadow behaviors onto you, trying to paint your softness as seduction, your confidence as arrogance. But it was always about them. They were never talking about you. They were screaming about their own wounds, and now everyone sees that. Even the ones who entertained their gossip, they see it now. The illusion is broken. This final test wasn't just about survival, it was about rebirth. You've gone through a full soul metamorphosis. You've healed the wounded parts of you that were targeted your whole life. The inner child that always got blamed, the soft heart that was made the scapegoat, the one who only ever wanted peace but always got pulled into storms. That part of you, she's safe now. He's healed. They're not hiding anymore. You're rising with wings they tried to clip, and you're flying higher than they ever imagined. You're a divine spark, a magical soul, and everything you've been through, it didn't stop you. It revealed you. So keep shining, keep being, because your presence is your protection, your light is your legacy, and the star, that's you. The last card we have here is the Justice, and Spirit is saying, it's all being set right now. Every lie, every twist of truth, every dark word spoken behind your back, it's being weighed against the purity of your soul. And the scales, they are tipping in your favor. Because this wasn't just about gossip. This was about someone targeting your innocence, your open heart, and your role as a healer. And now, divine justice is unfolding. There's something deeply sacred about your light, Ambik, your inner child, your heart, your gentleness. They were never weaknesses. They were the exact gifts Spirit placed within you to change lives. And what makes this whole situation so disturbing is that the very person who tried to tear you down may have been someone you once tried to help, someone you offered compassion to. Maybe you even tried to find common ground, to offer peace, to play the role of mediator when things began unraveling. But they didn't want peace. They wanted control. They weren't looking for understanding. They were looking for chaos. And in the worst cases, this person may have gone to extreme, unthinkable lengths to try to hurt you. Some of you may have dealt with legal interference, custody manipulation, the weaponizing of children. Spirit isn't whispering here, it's speaking loudly. This was sick, this was twisted, and there's no misunderstanding in what this toxic person did. They used lives, including young ones, as tools to gain emotional leverage. They tried to take sacred roles like parent, partner, protector, and twist them for power. But what they didn't know was that you weren't just protected, you were watched. And everything they did, it was recorded in the divine records. Spirit is bringing you support in the form of true love, soul tribe, and higher alignment. There is a divine counterpart here, a prince energy, not in the fairy tale sense, but in the real, grounded, sacred sense. Someone who sees the truth. Someone who values you for exactly who you are. Someone who may have watched this unfold and chose to stand by you. And if they're not here yet, they are coming. Because the love that's meant for you, it doesn't run from your scars. It honors them. And here's what's powerful. While that toxic person tried to build a reputation by destroying yours, you're now telling your story in your own words. The truth is no longer whispered. It's being spoken with boldness, with clarity, with divine permission. You are the storyteller now. You're not repeating what happened to rehash pain. You're turning your pain into purpose. You are stepping into the role of the one who heals others through what you survived. Your story is becoming sacred medicine. This final test wasn't about surviving betrayal. It was about awakening your voice, about reclaiming your narrative. And now that you've passed, your light is not only returning, it's multiplying. People who once listened to lies are now hearing the truth, and they're feeling the difference. They're seeing the clarity. They're remembering your kindness. And for some, they're realizing they stayed silent when they should have spoken, and Spirit is nudging them to make it right. Okay, this feels like a beautiful place to close the reading. You are no longer who you were when this began. You've outgrown the pain, the shame, and the roles that kept you small. You are no longer a scapegoat. You are rising in your divine energy, unapologetically radiant and rooted in truth. This is your metamorphosis, your rebirth, and your story, told with divine power. Justice has arrived, and they can't twist your truth anymore. Don't forget, you're the light. Let them see it. Bye.